They'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
And frankly appalling. Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured, and in fact, across the country.
President Donald Trump's remarks about British soldiers in Afghanistan is totally unacceptable. It is also insulting. Thank you, Keir Starmer, for standing up for British soldiers. British soldiers gave their lives in Afghanistan to bring democracy and for world order, to maintain democracy, secularism, and to save the world from extremists. To undermine British soldiers and their sacrifices in Afghanistan, in other places, are totally unacceptable. And President Donald Trump must apologize. This also undermines British-American relationship and the special relationship that we have with the US. British soldiers gave lives in the Second World War. My grandfather fought for the Allied forces under the Indian Army during Second World War to thwart the attacks of the Japanese in Myanmar. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of all the British soldiers around the world, wherever they are stationed. And this kind of words from the leader of the Western world, especially from the most powerful man in the world, Donald Trump, is totally unacceptable. And Britain should rethink about the special relationship if this continues. If British soldiers give lives and their sacrifices are not really appreciated the way it should be, then what's the purpose of standing shoulder to shoulder with the US when we are not appreciated enough, we are not respected enough? Thank you, Keir Starmer, for standing up for the British soldiers. We are proud British citizens. We are proud of our British soldiers. And we are proud of the sacrifices they have carried out around the world to defend UK and the interests of the free world. But the question is, why Trump insulted British soldiers, dead soldiers? Why? Because Trump wants to dominate the world with his so-called Board of Peace, because he wants to prove Britain, France, China, they're irrelevant when it comes to global peace. Because France, Canada, China, and Britain did not join his so-called Board of Peace. He wants to undermine the Security Council, the permanent seats of the veto power in nations. That's the main reason. You can clearly see from the map and mark the colors. How can you undermine the British effort? Impossible. President Donald Trump hasn't done his homework well. Britain was with the US from day one. Let's remember day one news coverage.
It's hard to begin where to tell you how much has happened today, but the U.S., with the assistance of Britain, in at least one instance, has begun a major attack against the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda network in Afghanistan. And the President and the Secretary of Defense have been very careful to say this is an attack against the Taliban and against Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, not against the people of Afghanistan or against Islam. They've made that point repeatedly. The military operation has been going on for several hours now. There have been about 40 American aircraft and an unknown number of cruise missiles used. launched from the Arabian Sea by both the United States and Britain against a wide variety of targets about which nobody has been absolutely specific throughout Afghanistan. But there are the numbers we do know. 15 land-based bombers were used, 25 strike aircraft launched from aircraft carriers in the Arabian Gulf, and at least 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles fired from American and British ships, actually a British submarine in this case. The Secretary of Defense has just simply not told us very much beyond that. The operation is underway. So they're not going to tell us about it. We do know, for example, that there have been attacks on virtually every Afghan city or adjacent to every Afghan city. There was an attack north of Kabul. There's been an attack at Kandahar, in the air base in the south, in Herat in the west, in Jalalabad, out by the Pakistani border in the north. And as the Secretary and others have said repeatedly, what they are aiming to do at the moment tonight is to undermine the Taliban, undermine al-Qaeda in any possible way they can, and give aid and support to the various forces in Afghanistan, the military forces, both in the north and in the south, who are prepared to move on the ground against the Taliban. There's the very broad-based strokes of what they're doing at the moment.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. These carefully targeted actions are designed to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operations and to attack the military capability of the Taliban regime. We are joined in this operation by our staunch friend, Great Britain. Other close friends, including Canada,